Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. A follow-up here on me talking about being an organ donor. I had said that I heard from people who worked in hospitals that if you are an organ donor, if they see that on your ID after some type of accident, that perhaps they won't be trying as hard to save your life, or perhaps there are certain reasons why they might save you last, or something along those lines. I don't know exactly how to word it, and it sounds terrible, and I know, and I'm not an organ donor, and I admitted that people telling me these things had an impact on me, and I thought about that. Now, I'm not saying it's absolutely true, but that just, this is what I said. And so a registered nurse and former paramedic wrote into the show saying, I have close to 15 years medical experience. I've been on the front lines as a paramedic, rushing to the hospital. I've worked in the ER, surgical trauma, ICU, cardiac ICU, and other critical care portions of the hospital. And I've even taken care of people who are about to donate organs. And they have issue with what I was saying about hospitals not working as hard on organ donors. And they said that the organ procurement is a process that can take days. And they went on to say, what makes you a candidate for organ donation? The donor has to be kind of alive. The heart is beating, breathing is being done by a ventilator. Then you have to prove that you are brain dead by multiple methods and by at least 2 doctors. And then, of course, they, do all the rest of this stuff. And so they're saying that it would just be a lot easier, actually, to pull the plug. So there we have both sides.
Right. So the argument being made is that the conditions in which you can actually donate organs are so specific that the idea that, let's just make it so this person dies is a sort of a crude and outrageous suggestion, because in many of those let's just pull the plug cases, you would be rendering the individual unable to even donate organs. So it would be of no use to anybody.
Perhaps. Right. So a difficult and perhaps very annoying process of organ procurement.
Let me mention, Lewis, before you go on.
Yeah.
I'm hearing with Lewis now, he of course recreated the studio in a temporary location. I'm hearing Lewis's audio as being a little bit harsh and sort of clipping, and it may be that something is different with Lewis's setup. We can't fully tell. So if Lewis's microphone sounds messed up to you, like overdriven and harsh, let us know and we can try to work it out. I think I'm hearing that, Lewis, but who knows,
Yeah, you might be hearing that. Maybe it's all in your head, but let us know if something sounds weird, because nothing really changes when I reset this up. Every cable is the same. Everything I plug into is the same. All the settings are the same on every piece of equipment.
Right.
But still, every time I move and relocate and set up again, even though everything stays the same, it never sounds the same.
Right.
And I don't know why that is. You'd have to ask an electronics expert, perhaps.
Thank you.
It's always different. Okay. After talking about the quietest place in the United States and talking many times about hotel rooms that I find interesting, or, the really opulent ones, and also talking about how I love caves and would like to live in a cave, multiple people within a week alerted me to this story. Well, it's not really a story. Alerted me to that there's this hotel room in the Grand Canyon Caverns, as it's called the Cavern Hotel Room. That is, I guess, not only is it a cave, it's 220 feet below ground. It's a natural cave. It's pretty big. This hotel room is, I guess, 200 feet wide, 400 feet long, 70-foot ceiling. And you can rent this as a hotel room for $800 a night.
On a per square foot basis, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I suppose it is compared to most hotel rooms. And it's very, very, very quiet. So quiet that you, I guess, pretty much always hear your heart rate. Now, I guess it's also the driest. It says here that this cave I was under the impression that caves generally were humid places, but this cave has zero humidity and that nothing lives in the cave. Um, so now, David, I'm not sure about this humidity thing. Does 0% humidity mean that you are, I mean, what was the humidity in Tucson, where the air is very dry? I mean, that's above zero, isn't it?
It's above zero. Yeah, yeah.
So zero humidity. I mean, you might be getting nosebleeds and sore throats. It's so dry in this room, right?
That would be my guess. Yeah, I think that there are humid caves and dry caves. I think there's different types of caves depending on what type of cave it is and its placement and the material that the cave is in, so to speak, or dug out from. Not literally dug, but what am I trying to say? Situated within. Yes.
Okay. So I have stayed in a cave before, a very small one in Turkey, and it was very, very humid, incredibly humid. But I loved it. I think it was, I was very tired, but still, I say it was one of the best night's sleep I ever had. And I frequently have problems with dry throats and dry eyes and all of that when I'm sleeping pretty much everywhere. And I think zero humidity would be a problem for me. Who would pay $800 a night to have a terrible night's sleep?
You'd think maybe they let you bring in a humidifier, but probably not, because that could actually ruin. Yeah,
you need a pretty big humidifier to take care of this room.
Yeah.
So I guess this cave is about 65 million years old. So yeah, pretty interesting. I'd like to see it. I would certainly not pay for this room. It's a little outrageous, if you ask me. Okay, here is something fascinating that I don't think has ever really happened before in the NFL. I love NFL stories. Now, one of the most popular running backs in the NFL has just admitted that he is an atheist. And that is kind of a big deal, right? I mean, this kind of doesn't happen in the sports world.
Usually you get noticed in the sports world for being very religious, right? I mean, if religion is going to be a factor in sports for athletes.
And in the NFL, religion is the norm, basically. And I guess it's not like his teammates didn't know or anything like that. If there was some type of prayer before a game in the locker room, he would be sitting on the bench listening to music, and no one would tap him on the shoulder to get in on this little huddle when there's a prayer. But he has come out as kind of, I don't know what you would call him, not necessarily a spokesperson, but...
Hey, Lewis, why don't you tell us the name of the player and the team?
I didn't say who. It's Arian Foster.
Right, you didn't mention that.
Excuse me, Arian Foster, who plays for the Texans. I thought I mentioned that. And so he has joined kind of a movement of other atheists who are trying to spread awareness, and the group is called Openly Secular. And I think this is important because you don't want people to be persecuted because they are non-religious. As crazy as that sounds, I could see that happening in the sports world,
sure,
especially the NFL. And this is important for kids to hear too, who might be afraid to say that, well, yeah, I'm an atheist or I don't believe in God. And it's okay to do that. And he admits that he may be throwing out endorsement deals and things like that by admitting this, but he feels great about it because he says this is who you are, and don't be afraid to be you. So how many other players are going to come out and admit this after Arian Foster does?
I don't know. I mean, they also shouldn't feel pressure to, right? Because religion or lack thereof, you would think it's just a private matter. You're a football player, and that's that. Although anytime you have a movement of noticeably religious people in the NFL, it's obviously good to hear that it's okay not to be religious in the NFL also. But shouldn't we just be thinking of, hey, just go play the sport? Your beliefs or lack thereof should not really be a factor.
If only it were that simple, Yes, in a perfect world, that would be the situation. And in terms of feeling pressure, I mean, I would imagine that if you are not religious at all, but you have to fake it to get along with your teammates and your
Yeah.
coaches and everything. I mean, I feel that the pressure would be greater in that case. So it's kind of a big deal, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if people follow his lead. But I mean, this is huge. Someone had to do it, and he is a role model. And now it's clear that he's an atheist role model. And I think kids should have both atheist role models and, well, I guess non-atheist role models. Although I'd prefer they were all atheists, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Louis
they should-
Motamedy's parenting blog on the bonus show.
Yeah, maybe I should start a parenting blog.
You should become the next mommy blogger.
A mommy blogger. Yeah, I'll go on Facebook and Twitter and tell people not to get their kids vaccinated. How's that? All right. Arian Foster admitting he's atheist. And finally, Korea's newest beauty trend.
Yeah.
Strange things happen in Korea. It's a strange country. I've talked about it before. We've also talked about strange beauty trends in Japan, like the donut head. And now that's not the name. I don't know if that's the name, the translation from the whatever it was called in Japan. But this was where people would inject. What would they inject into their foreheads?
I thought it was like a saline solution of some kind.
Some type of saline solution into their foreheads. And so there'd be kind of like a ball on your forehead, but then you would press it in and you would have this donut shape on your forehead. And I guess some people found it attractive.
And that wasn't a fake story?
It was not a fake story. No, people were really doing that. Did you find that attractive?
I did not. That was not my look.
Okay, yes. I found it to be rather repulsive. But now in Korea, there's a beauty trend where it's I guess, considered beautiful to look like you partied too hard the night before and got a terrible night's sleep. So it's called hangover makeup. And girls in Korea and Japan are uploading photos of themselves with bags under their eyes or things like that, really. And I guess, I don't know, is that something you find attractive? Did you like that look?
No, that's not my preference, no.
I mean, it's not the craziest thing we've heard, but why might this be a thing? Like,
well, maybe because it shows like, oh, you have a social life and you have things to do and you're cool and whatever.
Now, from what I understand, having too much to drink is a pretty common thing in Korea, especially among the men in Korea. It's social drinking is social excessive drinking, I should say, is quite rampant. And I don't know. I guess,
is it to the point of, we've talked in Russia how alcoholism is so significant that in men that life expectancy is being significantly affected. Is it like that in Korea, do you know?
I'm not sure about the physical health repercussions of this, but socially, I can tell you that you're not really supposed to address someone's drinking. It's just accepted. If you get drunk, that's that, and no one really brings it up. Now, on the other hand, if you were even to smoke the tiniest bit of pot, they might be, your friends and family might be all over you, and it would be a really big deal.
So the stigma around that in South Korea is much different than drinking.
Yes, you pretty much just don't even discuss the drinking. It's totally acceptable, and so yes, the social repercussions of that are probably quite profound. Although I couldn't give you exact details, but I have a friend I can ask.
Right.
So that's what's going on in Korea now. Very strange, but not the strangest beauty trend that we've seen. Hangover makeup. Yeah, that's that. Dave, anything to add to today's show?
Nothing else. Like I mentioned on the regular show, we're going to be setting up so things that we can have the audience participate in right now. Number one, naming the network name. That will be the sort of overarching name for all the programming we produce. Number two, Patriot Mail. And I have the last year's calendar. Patriot Mail calendar. We're doing a 2016 calendar. We need 13 new images for this calendar. You can submit one. 8.5 by 11 landscape orientation 300 dot per inch resolution. Those are the only restrictions. Any Hatriot mail related image you would like to create, send it to us. And number 3, at the new studio, we will have sort of 2 sets, one which will be a more traditional set and one which will be more of a library sitting on a couch type set for interviews and other types of content. We need books to be in the background, filling the library. So if you have any extra books, I should actually find what was that address? We have an address. Our attorney is going to be receiving all the books for us because we don't really have a place to keep them until we have the new studio. Any books you want to get rid of, we'll take them. We'll put them in. And if you have interesting books you want to send a note about, oh, here's something about this book or whatever, it'll be very interesting to have this sort of audience-funded library at the studio. Not too many corporate media shows have that going on. I'll assure you of that. Send the books to the David Pakman Show, care of Attorney Gove. That's Gove. The address is 277 Main Street, Suite 206 in Northampton, Massachusetts, 01060. So 3 things, Lewis, that the audience can participate in.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.